Hello, Rob from Compass here, and today we're going to be taking an in-depth look comparing our new Falcon 3.3 SP2 fast adjust shocks to an equivalent Fox 2.0 adjustable reservoir shock. At Compass, we've been putting together suspension packages and shock tunes for Sprinter vans, Ford Transits, and Ram ProMasters for the past 5 years using Fox products. Now, Fox has been around for years. They really set the benchmark in shock technology and design, and they still make a great product. Internally, externally, for the money, this is still a great shock. However, a year ago, we started working with the team over at Falcon Shocks. The amount of shock technology and quality that they are putting into their entry-level shocks at the same price point of a Fox 2.0 got us thinking about maybe it might be time to make a switch. Now, the Fox 2.0 Performance Series has been the shock that we've sold and recommended for our suspension packages since we've started. This shock body is an aluminum body. It is hard anodized clear, and it is a 2.1 inch diameter, outer diameter body. It features a 5/8 inch diameter shock shaft, and it has an external reservoir which feeds oil through this reservoir hose into the shock reservoir. Now, the Falcon Shock is over a 2.3 inch diameter body. It has a 3/4 inch shock shaft, and it is a piggyback design, which means the reservoir is mounted as a single unit mounted to the shock itself. So what that does from a reliability standpoint and an installation standpoint is this shock is a lot easier to install. There's no reservoir you have to deal with mounting. There's no additional clamp you have to deal with securing and potentially causing damage to under-vehicle components or the shock itself. This bolts right on the vehicle just as the factory stock shock did. Additionally, Falcon shocks are application specific. So if you look at the shock body itself and the top cap, notice how the mounting position of the upper portion of the shock is offset, which means the shock body will clear the vehicle's chassis. That's a feature that Fox does not offer and cannot offer in their Performance Series line. So many customers, and myself included, tend to shy away from adjustable shocks, adjustable suspension, because oftentimes it's difficult to adjust the suspension settings. So if we look at the Fox 2.0, here's the adjustment knob on the top of the reservoir. It's this small knurled knob that doesn't have any reference points as to what the shock is set to, and it is difficult to adjust. The Falcon shock is a different story. Again, because they're application specific, this shock is for the passenger rear of a four-wheel drive Sprinter, which means when it is installed in that position, this adjuster is super easy to access. You don't have to lay down on the ground, and you can see what it's set to because it's positioned right where you can see it. You as a consumer will actually want to enjoy the features of your adjustable shocks and really experience the drastic change in ride quality that this shock can offer. Now, those are just some of the external features that differentiate the Falcon versus the Fox 2.0 at an equivalent price point range. Now we'll look at some of the internal differences that really separate the Falcon product versus the Fox 2.0 product. We'll start with the piston. Here is the Fox 2.0 piston. Now, as you can see, this is a raw finish and it is a sintered metal design, really made as cheaply as possible. We've seen these change over the years, and Fox kind of start making them cheaper and cheaper and pull out features to get the price point down. If you look at the piston in the Falcon, this is something you see in a high-end race shock, something you would see in a 2.5 race series from Fox or King or Icon. This is a billet aluminum piston. This is machined from a solid chunk of aluminum, beautifully machined, I might add. It is then hard anodized gold and features a really nice one-piece wear band design on the piston. Now we'll look at the rod guides or seal heads. This is really what keeps the oil in the shock and also prevents the shock shaft from deflecting at full extension and also just during everyday use. They're very similar. There's only so many ways you can really design this. The difference, again though, kind of comes into how much money is being spent in the manufacturing process. The Fox seal head is raw aluminum, no hard anodizing like the Falcon one has. Additionally, since the Fox does have a smaller shock shaft, you're going to end up with a smaller DU bearing. So less wear surface, less ability to handle side load as well compared to the Falcon shock. And the Falcon seal head or rod guide is, again, a chunk of aluminum, machined beautifully, hard anodized gold, and because of the larger shock shaft, has a larger DU bearing, which should handle side load better and keep oil in the shock, which in theory should provide for even better longevity of the shock. The last internal component we're going to look at is the IFP, or internal floating piston. This separates the oil from the nitrogen in the shock, and this is a real critical component internally on a monotube shock like this. But look at the Fox IFP first. It's made of plastic. It has grooves left over from the manufacturing process that aren't really supposed to be there. And really it's, again, just made as cheaply as possible. You can really kind of tell the difference. So the IFP in the Falcon is machined from a solid chunk of billet aluminum. Again, because the internal components of the Falcon and external components are so much bigger, everything on the IFP is bigger. So the O-ring is bigger, the diameter is bigger. But a cool feature that Falcon added is they put a wear band on the IFP, which once it's installed in the reservoir, it prevents the IFP from being able to deflect and allowing oil and nitrogen to mix. Once that happens, if oil and nitrogen mix in a monotube, the shock loses performance and starts to deteriorate what it's actually able to dampen. Another feature of the Falcon, which we can't even compare to the Fox, is Falcon's SP2 mode adjust feature. So the SP2 does two things. For us at Van Compass, it allows us to offer two different shock tunes in one shock. For you as a customer, it allows your suspension to grow with your van as you build it out. Oftentimes we talk people out of buying suspension products from us because we want them to wait till their build out is complete. So they're at their finished weight, so we can really dial suspension in for their van. Well, with the mode adjust feature of the Falcon, we can get your van riding so much better even when it's lightweight and not at its finished build weight. And then once your build out is complete and the van is at its final heavier finished weight, you can actually unbolt the bottom portion of the shock, close off the mode adjust, close off the SP2 mode adjust feature, and now you have a drastically different shock tune in your van. I hope you guys enjoyed this in-depth look at the differences between the Fox 2.0 and the new Falcon 3.3 shock setup. Here at Van Compass, we really try to make your dollar go further and not just sell things that aren't necessary. If you're looking at any of the innovative products we make here at Van Compass, check out our website at vancompass.com.